Rosann, we've known each other for 3 decades.
Yes, a long time.
And you have been a professional counselor.
As you have been a professional counselor, how many people have we known in Hong Kong?
Yes, quite a lot.
So many different people.
And so many changes.
And that's why we want to think about women now and women then, and how women have changed over these years.
That must be very interesting.
Yes.
And it covered different generations.
Always.
Well, if they're interested in what we are talking about, how are they going to find us?
You're going to find us Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, PsychoAlchemy. We are Women Now and Then.
See you there.
Oh, Dorothy, we were starting on pregnancy and will it affect woman's body? By golly, it affects women's body. Women don't know how large those breasts can get until the pregnancy proceeds, or carrying this tummy, or how your back aches, or how you will walk differently. Pregnancy changes the way the woman talks, how she feels about herself, and she feels something within her which men never feel. You do not know what it's like to be pregnant, George. You don't know, your father doesn't know, your son doesn't know. Women know. It's often sometimes a point of acknowledgement of maturity in a woman. If she has born a child, then she's mature. Then she's mature.
Well, I agree. Motherhood really changes a woman a lot. Yeah.
I'm not so sure she has to bear the child, but motherhood definitely changes a woman. When you are in charge of caring for an infant, a toddler, you got that preschooler hanging on your leg all the time. You go, I never knew motherhood would be this demanding. I never knew motherhood would take so much time. Till another mother says, wait until they're teenagers. If you think they take time now. Now you know where she eats, where she is, and where she slept last night. But with your 15-year-old, you have no idea. They call you on the cell phone, tell you're in this place, they might be someplace else. Are they eating healthy food? You have no idea. And dare you ask, where did she sleep last night? Mothers of teenagers, mothers of preschoolers say, take the preschoolers, as demanding as they are. Teenagers are a heartache on women. So motherhood changes you. You cannot be yourself anymore. You're always carrying. You're caring. You're wondering about. You're giving strength to another human being.
But well, our bodies, are they prepared for all this hardship?
Oh,
I thought we are deteriorating, right?
Oh, you can't deteriorate.
Okay.
When you have young children in front of you, you are not allowed
You become
to.
super mom.
You become super mom, and it's remarkable how the hormonal flow that has to do with care keeps on going. We hear stories of children in refugee camps. We hear stories of where there are people starving, where women move mountains to make sure their children are safe and that their children have something to eat.
Yeah.
That mother bear syndrome comes through. So care of the bodies, well, it's tough being a mother. You're drained physically if you gave birth. You're drained emotionally and socially because many of us who are mothers also have George waiting somewhere. So George wants to know, how come you're paying so much attention to that
And
child?
you still have to entertain George,
And
right?
what about me? How does that work? And you say, well, over the years, the mother of the teenage girl and the father of the teenage girl may be quite differences in opinion. Should you let her stay out until what time? He says, I want my daughters home at 10. She said, that's unreasonable in this setting. They can easily be out until midnight. Oh no, I'm staying up. I'm going to be here when my daughter walks through the door. Okay. How does a father learn to be a father? How does a mother know what her teenage daughter or son is capable of? How much can your son, let me go from daughter How much can your son drink before he's drunk?
Wow.
Do mothers know that? Father says, don't worry about it. Guy's got to learn to drink. You say that, George, but he's your son. When is he going to learn to drink? Oh, okay. Well, I'll pick him up wherever he is. And the son comes in and says, I don't want you picking me up. I will take care of myself. So the heartaches, the issue of can you let that child take care of himself or herself, it wears out both parents. But women, we're talking about women now and then.
Right.
When she was a young girl, she remembers how she felt when she was 15. She remembers what 18-year-old boys were like. Now she has a son who is 18. Oh, complex emotional development.
All this nightmare just creep back.
Just there again. It's there again. And emotions help us to remember ourselves back then and ourselves now.
But if there are so many in the head of the woman, do you think she can still have the time to take care of her body? Right? And at that time, I would say, as you said, George is still demanding. The mother needs to entertain, and then with the teenagers, and I think after the childbirth, maybe the woman's body also changes, right?
Oh, yes.
So at that time, what would you suggest for women?
Oh, there are no easy suggestions. Societies from days of old have tried to figure out, do women need time off from sex for a month, 6 weeks, 6 months, a full year? Ooh. If you're nursing the child, that in a way helps prevent pregnancy with yet another child, but maybe not in all cases, in all ways. But when does a woman get fully involved in sexual excitement? Because she's got a baby crying at any time during the night. Do you think George is going to get up and take care of that baby? Let's be real here. So husbands and wives, for the first year or two after the birth of a child, until that child gets sleeping habits that are pretty regular and predictable, the sex life of the husband and wife cannot be so anticipatory. You can want it to happen, but you chose to have these children, or maybe you chose to have these children. You have them.
You have them.
Now you have to take care of them. So there are stories of, her vagina is now wider because she's had a child. That's true. So does the penis size change? Should the penis be fulfilled? Are we really worried about how comfortable that penis is inside the vagina? The penis is pretty comfortable. There are very few owners of a penis who will complain about being inside the vagina of a woman. So I hear you that the vaginal walls may stretch some, but that's not the only part of sex. The nerve endings in the reproductive area are many and varied and have less to do with the vaginal walls. Don't worry about the vagina being a little bit wider. Please don't worry about it.
Well, it's so interesting because in Chinese,
Yes.
they always complain after having child
Yes.
or maybe children,
Yeah.
their husband and wife sexual relationship deteriorate. And I like what you said. I don't think it's totally because of the sex life. Maybe it's of the crying baby. The woman have too much on her mind, and maybe even the father at the same time suddenly had too much responsibility.
Yes.
Right? He is now making money not just for his wife. He had a baby at home, right? So it's like suddenly the couple both are in so much emotional tension. So, and one thing good is if you have a good sex, at least for that 10-15 minutes or even more, you can have some release.
Or even less.
Even less. But
all right.
But if somehow because of all this tension you decided just to stay away from this intimate relationship, actually might end up there's no release. That's how I see it, right? Some people will ask me, well, we just have one baby, and now the baby is like 6 months, I'm still breastfeeding. Should I go back, have sexual relationship with my husband? Should I ask my mom to take the baby back home, and then the couple had afternoon sex? They will ask something like that. And I would say there's no formula. As you said earlier, both of you have to really ask yourself what you really want. And I remember one wife said it so nicely, and she said, we thought we are having sex, but end up we just hold to each other and we fell asleep like in 5 minutes
because we're so tired.
Yeah, because so tired. And that's a way of taking care of our body. You know, maybe at this stage 40, 30 is not that young. If you have young children, you are very tired. You just need to rest, and maybe that's the best way to take care of ourselves, right?
Rest, yes. And speaking of taking care of yourself, as the years roll along and you're coming up towards menopause, that scares women.
Oh, yes. I hate
that scares women. Many women have menopause comes at about age 50, but any time at about age 40, 43, maybe even 38, the periods become less regular, sometimes heavier, sometimes more uncomfortable. And women wonder, well, what's happening to my body now? Remember, that's the secret of women's bodies.
Yes.
What's happening to me when I start menstruating? What's happening to me when I'm feeling sexy? What's happening to me with pregnancy? What's happening to me with menopause? It's always on the mind. What's going on?
Yes.
What's changing in my body? Something's always changing in your body. Now, menopause, clarification, you don't know if you're going through menopause until the bleeding actually stops. So you can say, I have been through menopause, or I'm anticipating menopause, but you don't know it's over until it's over.
And you know, one thing funny is I remember a young man, not that young, a son of an older woman, and he came to me and said, you know, Dorothy, I never understand my mom. Before my mom had menopause, she said that it's premenopause syndrome.
Right, premenopausal symptoms.
The whole menopause thing. And she said, he said, it's almost 10 years.
Could be.
During menopause. And after that, my mom still screamed at me. And my mom said it's post-menopause syndrome.
Oh,
but
my
I
goodness,
think to a lot of men, they don't understand. It's so uncomfortable. And I don't know whether it is true or not. When I had my menopause, was really very painful. Sweating like crazy.
Yes.
And like
hot flushes.
And you like sleeping and then all sweat and you change everything and then suddenly you feel so cold.
Yes.
It's like you have 4 seasons in 2 hours.
Yes.
And very hard to explain to anybody.
Very hard.
And you are really bad temper. And it's I'm so glad it's finally over. Then
women love it when it's finally over.
Finally over.
Nice, re-energize, and use your time the way you want. But it shows us how hormones regulate our bodies, how much of our health is related to our life stage, and finding balance at each life stage. How much exercise, how much good food or not so good food, how much rest, how much sleep. Women have to become extremely conscious of, where am I in the life cycle? What part of this is normal for women at my life stage? That's why we want more health education for women.
Definitely.
So that you can be aware that what's happening to you is part of your life stage.
Yes.
That's what's going on right now.
Yes.
That's what's going on right now.
I want to ask you one technical point.
Yes, of course. Well,
and some of my clients will ask me, is it true after the menopause she doesn't feel sexy anymore, meaning she liked to touch herself before menopause, and it's like suddenly in her maybe 55 she finally have the grand finale, nothing happened, menopause over, she suddenly the major difference is that she no longer feel like touching herself. when she was in her early 50s,
Yeah.
she can still watch a AV, a pornograph, and she get excited. But now she said, suddenly all the juice gone.
Wow.
What do you think? Is it
I think it's individual
case?
differences. I think it's
Okay,
individual
okay.
differences. And it's only for today or this week or this month. Wait and see what happens. Not touching yourself is one thing. Being attracted to a man or other men is quite another.
Yes. Okay.
So we don't know if men have entered her life who might be interested in being near her physically, and whether or not she wants that. Again, we don't have so much research on women post-menopause. This diagram of women's life cycle is menstruation, pregnancy, menopause.
And stop,
There's
right?
a lot more to life
true.
after menopause. And we need to help women to understand what are the health issues in their 50s, in their 60s, in their 70s.
Yes, yes.
You're still loved, and you might still want to love your own body. It could happen. But we need more research on older women, women now and then.
Yes.
Now, we want to pull this together a little bit because we've been talking about so many different topics. I have one book I wanted to mention.
Okay.
And this is the book. It's called The Shelter of Each Other, Rebuilding Our Families. I chose this one because so much, I talked about the life stage of women, but so much depends on who are the people in our family. When you're growing up, you pretty much know who your mother and father are. They might not even be your biological mother and father, but you have some parental figures. As a young adult, you develop a family. You may have, may get married, and you may have children, or you may adopt children. As you get older, and your children go have children of their own, women are facing the question, well, who is my family? So if we look at the notion of rebuilding a family, we can rebuild those biological marital family members, but we also might look at other ways that we can have caring relationships with people who are not biologically related to us.
Wow.
So rebuilding our family comes in. I would recommend this
Wow,
book.
this is a very good concept. Maybe for a Chinese culture, we always think that family is immediate family,
Yes.
blood related, right?
Yes.
But the thing is, I also believe in that. Given now a lot of people are not getting married, they're
Yes.
single, they live by themselves.
Yes.
And if their parents pass away and their relatives just move, their siblings all gone, and somehow they can feel very lonely.
Yes.
But if you can have a different concept, what family is all about, you don't need to have immediate family, right? You can have good friends. Like I always see you as my mentor and my godmother, right?
Yes,
and I
godmother.
have such a good time talking to you. I see you as family members. But if more people are willing to open up their heart, open up their mind to this concept, I think there will be less and less lonely people in this big city.
I think so. Big cities do it because so many people are living alone that we don't have a term which is family or friends. Well, we have friends who are very close to us, but we don't have a word for that.
For that.
We don't have a word for that. So that was my book is about
great.
rebuilding families.
Yeah.
Rebuilding families.
And I would like to. I hope I can take you to this movie. I saw it already,
Yes.
but I think you would like it. It's the movie called The Wife.
Oh, we've heard a lot about
yes,
The Wife.
yes, by Glenn Close.
How did it interest you?
Oh,
What
well,
was-
I think I always liked Glenn Close.
Yes.
I think over 25 years back,
Wow.
her first movie was Fatal Attraction.
Oh,
Remember that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that time I was already a counselor, and this extramarital affair kind of thing had always been a big thing in marriage
Oh,
counseling.
it's always in marriage.
Right.
Yes.
And her acting was so good and always on my mind. I felt bad because she should won an Oscar then, but at that time was the I think Cher,
Yes.
Moonstruck,
Whoa.
got the Oscar instead of her. Now, almost 30 years later, she's doing a very fine acting at the wife. The movie is very close to what we talked about in last week and this week. We talk about the identity of a woman, and also how she has to give up a lot of herself in order to maintain a relationship.
Yes.
Remember last week, Rosann talked about the three things: the career, the husband, and the children. Actually, at that story, Glenn has to make a choice. She gave up her career, and the whole story is about how she really want to get out of that original choice.
Yeah.
And it's such great
Wow.
acting. I will really recommend. The movie start at actually at Valentine's Day.
Yes, did it?
I watched it after Valentine's Day, and I was shocked because I said, wow, this movie was a little bit heavy. And if you think of going to a movie with your lover or your husband, it's a Valentine's movie, it can be quite alarm.
Yeah.
Startle. And especially this movie, I didn't recommend my mom to see it because
Oh.
I'm afraid she will think, well, I also have sacrificed a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe good for my
generation.
mom because she still believes that's the best choice. But for maybe for some people, if the husband are not that appreciative, that woman will regret. Yeah, right. They will say, maybe I have wasted my life.
Yeah.
And what is in it for me, right? That's always the thing. But that would be a good way to either read a book or go to a movie if it's still on, and to really see how women now and then.
Women now and then,
Women
of
now
course.
and then.
And it's changing.
Yes.
It's changing. Every part of it is changing.
Right.
Which is why we need to talk about the way it was, the way it is.
Yeah.
The Chinese way of looking at it, the Western way of looking at it.
Right.
Are there so many differences?
Yes.
Yes, there are so many differences.
So can you tell me give our audience a little preview? What are we going to talk about next week?
Oh, money. How do you start earning it? How much do you need? What are you worth? Money. I can assure you, women do not have enough money saved or being saved for getting old. Women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s need more money. We've got to work on money.
Yes.
Money.